BC Rugby has a 125-year history, a history of success and pride. There's a place for everyone, young and old, boys and girls, one spirit, one team. Some play a small part, some larger, and some, the special ones, they know what it takes to grab onto that history and shake it to its core, inspiring us all. They train for hours, alone, pushed by will, determination, no one watching, no one cheering. They find a way to push a little further, to wring out one more set, one more rep. You know your opponent is training hard, so you train harder. Your biggest threat may not be the opposition, because someone always wants to wear your jersey, to take it from you. What are you prepared to do to keep it? That jersey, that crest, forever bonds you to something bigger, makes you stronger than you could ever be on your own. So you push harder, dig deeper until you have nothing left. Because it's all about the team, those fighting beside you now, and those who came before you. BC Rugby, one spirit, one team.
You're watching BC Rugby Club, bringing you the latest rugby news, highlights, and interviews from around the province. In this episode, we'll recap the month of November in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League. Get analysis and insights from Mike James. Train for Speed with Conan Cooper. We'll speak with Andrea Burk about the special upcoming event, Girls Try Rugby, on November 29th. We'll learn about the CDI High Performance BC Rugby Academy and more. Now let's join the hosts of BC Rugby Club, Brendan Monroe and Mike James. Hi rugby fans, I'm Brendan Monroe and with me today is Mike James. Mike, thanks so much for joining.
You're welcome, Brendan. It's always great to talk rugby and catch up on the exciting things at BC Rugby Union.
We're going to get into the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League highlights in just a moment, but before we do that, we'll take a look at the standings. There's a lot of changes there in the last few weeks since the last time we spoke. Burnaby Lakes worked their way up, as is James Bay. A couple of wins have them climbing up the tables. It changes pretty quickly.
Each game is so important to the standings. If you can win 2 or 3 games on the trot, your club is going to head up on the table. And we've seen that with James Bay and Burnaby Lake, where they've won games and now they're positioned themselves very well for the second half of the season.
Another really interesting team in the tables is Capilano. They have a pretty decent record, but they've also had a lot of really close finishes. Would you say that their record is indicative of what kind of team they have, or have they maybe been a bit fortunate to be up where they are?
I think they've just been suffering a bit of lack of finish and execution for the Capilanos. They've got a very talented roster, and any of their shortcomings can be easily remedied on the training pitch. I think they'll be in the mix for playoff time, and we'll see them in the second half of the season.
There won't be too many people surprised at UBC about where they are in the standings, but I think everyone else across the league is pretty shocked to see how well they've done in the first few games. What do you think accounts for that, and why do you think they're playing so well?
I think UBC has been very well prepared for their insertion into the CDI Premier League. The coach has done a great job of preparing the athletes. They do have the advantage of being a varsity program, so they're together more often. They're training every day. They haven't traveled much in the first half, but they may face some challenges further down the line, but their performance has been exceptional.
There's a couple of teams that haven't been performing as well as they would have expected, Castaway Wanderers being one of them, the UBC Old Boyd Ravens being another. What accounts for that performance? What accounts for that slow start for both those clubs? And is there enough time to make up the gap that is being put on them from the rest of the clubs?
I think CW has started slow. They usually take advantage of a good insertion of fresh bodies in the second half of the season, but perhaps the damage has been done. They're too far behind in the playoff picture. They've got a lot of work ahead of them. Mike Filifau has played really well for him, but he needs the support from his teammates. The Ravens have looked a bit disjointed, unfortunately, up until this point, but the season is well underway, so they've got a lot of work to get bodies to training, to get organized, and see that leadership on the field so that they can position themselves well in the second half.
Let's take a look at how all those clubs got to where they are in the tables right now by going to the highlights.
Jordan Sandover best, distributing that ball wide where it's going to be Sauter going for a run. He's down the touchline. Does he have enough space to get across the line? And he falls into goal, and we have a try signaled. Thompson gets the Thunderbirds further up the field, and do they have numbers? Not quite. The Brockstaller chasing after that one, and he's in for the try. So the rubber kick works. Yannicki down with the ball. That's a try. Finally, Caps get on the board after loose ball. One last pass into the corner, and a try here for the UBC Thunderbirds. And guess what? Brockstaller once again.
Castaway Wanderers traveling to Burnaby Lake. Points have been hard to come by for Castaway Wanderers. They would get some on the board here. Sam Rocher choosing a nice line. Slips through the tacklers, gets it over to Keenan Horton, and he's in for the try. Burnaby Lake would respond. Here Dulcau over to McQueen. He'll find space before dishing it off to Alex Kelly. Eventually he'll claw his way over the line. Burnaby Lake takes this one 36-17. UBC Old Boy Ravens traveling to UVic. They are in tough. UVic got a couple of tries from Luke McCloskey. First as the ball was swung out wide to him. And then a few minutes later, the Ravens were trying to clear their lines, but they overkicked their coverage, and McCloskey sneaks past everybody to score a second try. Ben Grant would get one back for the Ravens. But it was UVic who carried the day by a score of 35-13. We go to Brockton Oval, where it's the Rowers playing against James Bay. James Bay built up a second half lead thanks to tries like this one from Taylor Dalziel. And this one from Jack Smith. The Rowers, however, would not go away, using the overlap to score a try in the corner. That brings them within 3 points. Henry Racinos knocked over this difficult conversion with the assistance of the crossbar. In the game's dying moments, James Bay are able to hold on to possession. They get the penalty. They wrap up this game. And James Bay comes out on top, 1 point ahead of the Rowers by a score of 28-27.
Up their sleeve. And hard defense and what looked like a high tackle as Crosby Stewart was brought down. Advantage being played to UVic. A low ball, nicely scooped up by Mike Ryan Boss. And he's across the line. Wow, what a run there by the prop, McBrien Boss, as he collects that ball off the ground, right at his feet, scoops it up, fends off a couple of Caps players and gets it. Ball is dropped. Again, no signal. Play on. Right in the corner. Spike defense under tremendous pressure here. Good movement there. Still no signal. What more could the Caps do here? They just need that 1 or 2 more meters to go. Still in possession, still Caps, still looking, still pushing.
They passed it out.
and it's a try. No, I thought he was in. They're calling a penalty here. Brought back on the penalty. Fikes clear their lines.
And that is
That's
it.
the final whistle.
UBC putting their undefeated record on the line against James Bay. This is good, solid, high-impact rugby. Tyson DeGoody, well met by Eric Hunter-James. He was up for the task. Then, James Bay's Brandon Harrison sees that his defender's shoulders are turned, cuts inside, and dives in for the James Bay try. Next, it was UBC's center Thompson and Stoller linking up for this nice try. It was a close game, but Tyson DeGoody sealed it for James Bay, handing UBC their first loss on the year. Final score 22-19 for James Bay. Up next, Castaway Wanderers against Rowers in a match featuring more hoops on their kits than any other you will see this year in Canadian direct insurance action. Nathan Oliver breaks an arm tackle and hits a streaky Keenan Horton. He'll put the home side Castaway Wanderers up in the early goings of the first half. Rowers come right back. A classic tight head prop try scored by Tom Winter 1 meter out. And then substitute Duncan James slips under a tackle and over the try line to put the Rowers ahead. Brock Nicholson added another try in the opposite corner. Rowers win 25-17. The UBC Old Boy Ravens playing host to Burnaby Lake. In the early going, it's Burnaby Lake making the rugby look easy. Brian Murphy scores untouched, put his team up early. Later on, a little bit of lazy passing here by the Ravens, and fly half James Reekie says, "I'll take that." He trots in for another try. Sean Hayes doing what he can to get his team back in it. He'll do it single-handedly. But Burnaby Lake continues to pour it on in the second half. James Reekie draws in the tackler. Gets it to Dolsow. Maybe a bit forward. But it counts on this occasion, and Burnaby Lake run away to a 45-12 win. The UBC Old Boy Ravens have been plagued by slow starts in games, but this one was about as fast as you could get moments after the opening kickoff. They recover the ball on the restart, and after a couple of passes, Tom Riley's in on the corner. Later on, it's UBC working the ball brilliantly down the touchline. Eric Hunter-James is hit hard, but offloads to Jeffries, who scores the try. He'd be a real game breaker in this one. Taking the ball high, fending off a couple of tacklers, finding open space, getting to the touchline, fending off one last tackler before offloading the ball. His teammates mob him. UBC with the win by a score of 27-18. UVic hosting Burnaby Lake, both teams coming in with 2-game winning streaks. It took a while to get the first try on the board, with Pat Kay, who returned to the lineup, set up Crosby Stewart or Lucas Hammond. I'm not entirely sure. Sorry, lads, your coach may have swapped the numbers and names on the game sheet, but either way, that was a pretty sidestep en route to that try. Ultimately, this game was decided with the boot. Giuseppe Dutoit with 3 penalty kicks. Those are the difference in a 1916 victory for the University of Victoria. The fixture between James Bay and Castaway Wanderers has been called the 100 Years' War. This one was more like a skirmish. Here James Bay's pack, much bigger, pushing Castaway around, scoring an easy try. Phil Mack driving the bus. Here a savvy veteran play as he kicks this one into the sun, causing all kinds of trouble. Slater fly hacks this one through, and then spins away from the last two tacklers, acrobatically diving in for the try. Mike Foley with Fow says, "You want to score with style? I'm going to score with power." Here he steamrolls Tyson to Goody, and then powers in for the try. He didn't get enough support though from the rest of the Castaway Wanderers. James Bay wins this one 54-17. Capilano travels across the Lionsgate Bridge to Brockton, where they play against the Vancouver Rowing Club, both clubs looking for a bounce-back performance after a loss. Adam Zaruba, once he comes into focus here, dances into the corner. You can see why Canada would want him on their sevens team for Dubai and Port Elizabeth. He makes that look easy. Also using his speed, Matt Yanagia chases down this kick and scores a try. Capilano were just too much for the rowers on this occasion. They win this one 47-10.
Able to present the ball back. Lots of hands on that ball. Not sure who's got full possession. Looks like Capilano ball with about 3 to 4 meters to go. On to Nate Yanagia, who stretches and try is scored.
And that is exactly what we were talking about. We were waiting to see that from Cody Pittman. Those two big...
Another point of fixation. Defenses get organized and attacking get organized. Glenn McKinnon carrying it up. Heavy traffic. Three Capilano's there to keep the ball. Ball's gone to deck, but it's gone backwards. Chris Robinson shown the show and go in heavy traffic, looking for support. Ball carried over the line by Charlie Jones. Kind of awkwardly fallen, but he has presented the ball back. Good contest of the breakdown. Robinson to Jones on the inside, back to Jones, the give and go, behind the back pass to Toby Payton. Toby Payton's off to the races. Big athletic.
That last pass may not have worked out, but everything else pretty much did on this occasion for Capilano, who take the game 37-5. UBC Old Boy Ravens and Castaway Wanderers have struggled mightily in the first half, both teams desperately needing the win. Castaway Wanderers knocked on the door for several phases and finally pushed the ball across the line thanks to Clay Panga. The Ravens' Darcy Ralph fends a couple of tacklers but cannot shed the third one, denying him of the try. But minutes later, it's Paul Ciolini, with the assistance of the rest of the pack, gets over the line. Late in the second half, Tom Luke nails his penalty kick to put the Ravens in front for good. Final score 18-17. The Vikes and Rowers looked a little uneven on paper, but this is why you play the game. Vikes trying to get out of their own end, and doing so skillfully with some help from Crosby Stewart over to Luke McCloskey. He finds some room to run. That puts UVic ahead. Now in the second half, we'll see an unconventional try. It's always fun when the forwards score. Chris Saylor barging his way through the line and into goal for the try. The Rowers withstood a late push from the Vikes and held on for a 36-all tie in a very entertaining game. UBC trying to finish the first half of the season on top of the Canadian Direct Insurance standings. Burnaby Lake trying to chase them. James Reekie, with an uncharacteristic ball handling mistake, spots UBC, a free try. One they could not afford to give away as UBC continues to pour it on. Burnaby's slow to form their lines and Thompson exploits it. Playing a little give and go and getting it back to score the try. Burnaby do manage to get one back. Alex Kelly on the end of a string of passes. He dots down in the corner. The UBC just kept it coming the whole afternoon, putting 46 points on the board. And they will wrap up the first half of the season on top of the standings with that 46-29 win.
At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car. and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance.
BC Rugby has over 7,500 members, and rugby is the fastest growing team sport in Canada and North America. If you're interested in partnering with the BC Rugby Union or simply advertising within our community, we'd love to speak with you. We welcome the opportunity to discuss how we can best achieve your needs while making a difference to our great game. Please contact BC Rugby CEO Jim Dixon to learn how you can join the BC Rugby team.
All right, so we've seen the highlights, some great team rugby. What really stands out as far as individual performances go for you, Mike?
Well, it's always tough to single out individuals in the team sport of rugby, but there are a few. At UBC, I think their halfback combination of Jordan Sandover-Best and Brian Tyrer have done a lot of positive things. And at James Bay, I think Tyson DeGoody has been really a pick of the crop. As we saw in the highlight package, he probably didn't enjoy that bump by his BC Bears teammate Mike Filifau, but he's been consistently hardworking and putting in good performances. One thing I note in the front row, we've seen some real positive contributions by the front row players at the club level, and I think that bodes well for the CDI competition.
Mike, I'm going to put you under the gun, put you under pressure, ask you to take out the crystal ball. I know May playoffs are a few months off, but who do you see as the teams emerging and getting to that playoff spot come May time?
It is a tough one, Brendan. The playoffs are a long way away. We got a long season to go. But recent history suggests you always get 4 teams in the mix, and James Bay walks away with the cake. But at this point, I'm going to make a call. Top 4 will be Capilano, James Bay, UBC, and Burnaby Lake.
These all sound like great picks, but there's still lots of rugby to come. Up next, we speak to Andrea Burk. She's going to be hosting a great program called Girls Try Rugby. That's going to be happening in Vancouver as well as Victoria on November 29th. It's going to be a great opportunity for girls to come out and try the game of rugby. So let's see what she has to say. Andrea, tell us about the special event happening on November 29th, Girls Try Rugby Day.
So on November 29th, we have Girls Try Rugby right here at Kilhani Park, home of the Capilanos. It's right on the north side of the Lionsgate Bridge and behind the Earls on Marine Drive. For the Try Rugby event, we're asking all girls of all ages to come on out and try rugby with national team athletes as coaches and our high performance director, Dean Martin.
So Andrea, how did you get involved with rugby the very first time?
So how I got involved with rugby was my brother played rugby in high school, and I thought it was really cool because I really looked up to him. And sure enough, I tried rugby. I came out here to Capilanos when I was 15 years old, played on the senior women's team. They put me in at center, and sure enough, a number of years later, I come back into the centers going into the World Cup in 2014. And I just loved it. It was a place where, as a girl, I got to be as big and as strong and as powerful as I possibly could be, and just really hard with a group of girls that I really loved and really wanted to play hard for.
How great do you think it's going to be for a girl to get an early introduction into the sport of rugby, even earlier than you had a chance to get into it?
So, women's rugby is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. This year at the Women's Rugby World Cup, there was 2.9 million viewers in France watching the games. On a world stage, rugby is growing in a huge capacity, as well as right here in Canada. We have a number of teams from high school to club, U18, age grade, and even minis. On Sunday mornings, I'm at Capilanos playing with the little 5-year-olds with rugby balls that are bigger than their heads, and we're having a great time on the field. Lots of laughs, a really strong community, and it's just a great place to be for young women to grow up feeling strong and proud of themselves.
All right, so it sounds like a great opportunity for women to come out on the 29th, girls to come out on the 29th and try the sport. Thanks, Andrea.
Absolutely. Come on out, join us November 29th. Try Rugby with Andrea Burk, Hillary Leith, Julia Sugawara, and all of you.
Mike, what an exciting opportunity for the girls to come out and play rugby.
Absolutely, and thank you to RBC and VS Sport for supporting this initiative. I mean, if you're curious about the game, what an opportunity to meet national team players, work on your key rugby skills. I mean, if you're currently playing, bring a friend. Come out there and take advantage of these opportunities to learn more about rugby.
Up next, we're going to speak with Conan Cooper, the strength and conditioning coach for the BC Bears. He's going to show us how to get faster, how to improve our time in the 40-meter combine drill, and improve our sprint speed.
Hi, I'm Conan Cooper, strength and conditioning coach with BC Bears, and I'm here today with Caleb Hansen, and we're going to discuss and teach you how to get quicker, which is something that all referees and players of every age and stage of development can use. Caleb and others, they have natural genetic talent. They can just fast and they hit it. For everyone else, we actually have to train to get faster. So one of the best ways to find out your form is to actually video yourself in a sprint. Once you have that information, you're going to translate it back and do some basic form patterns. So the first one, marching, just a simple march. Okay, we're looking for standing down, foot right down underneath. Going back, A skip. A skip is a little hop. Get those elbows right back. And then B skip. These are three very simple, basic skip mechanisms. You'll work on these for training. They'll definitely improve your function as you get the coordination and timing of the movement. So the next factor is force. It's not just a matter of how quickly your feet are moving on the ground, but it's how much pressure you're putting into the ground each step. So you get the coordination right, and then you get the force right. In this case, we're going to use a sled to increase the force. With just about a 40% body mass load, 40 to 45% during season. Going to load up the sled and then up. You've got the form, you've got the force, and now we're going to bring it all together with fitness. You can't just run around the track once or do long, slow running and gonna be getting faster. So what you need to do is get out and do some hard sprints. Once you got all the pieces together, this is what it should look like at full speed. Okay, so now you have all the needed parts to be as fast as Caleb and catch him on the field. If you have any other questions, get in touch with the office or email me directly at conan@bcrugby.com.
Speed is such an important part of the game today, as is conditioning. Mike, from your experience, you were a fitness freak, you were always in the gym. How important was it to get that advantage, to get that fitness and that conditioning level up?
Well, if I can give any advice to young players, it's really to work on your physical condition. You need to outwork the opposition, and that means spending time in the gym on your strength and your conditioning, your coordination, your speed and stamina, because the rugby game is a long, long game, and you need to be just as fresh at the end as you are at the beginning.
I'd like to tell you about a great opportunity to improve your conditioning, improve your rugby skills. It's the CDI High Performance BC Rugby Academy, and we're going to speak with Dean Merton about that program. Dean, tell us about the CDI High Performance BC Rugby Academy, and if you're a parent, why would you want your child to be involved in this program?
Yeah, so the CDI Academy has been going on for a few years now, and as a parent I think it's really important that the athletes are involved in it. You're going to get more training time with different coaches, some coaches that are coaching at provincial level, some coaches at national level, and some in the CDI Premiership, so they're going to get an access to a really top quality group of coaches that will make them better, and also we're going to do some tracking with them as well, so that makes them more accountable. And there's lots of other benefits where we talk about nutrition, we talk about strength and conditioning, injury prevention, so they can gain a lot as well as just being actually on the field. There's a lot of things we've talked about off the field as well which will improve them.
So how often do the players get trained, and where is the training taking place?
So right now we currently train 6 times out the year, all at UBC. We generally run them on a Saturday from sort of 10 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. However, the plan for 2015 is that we will also have regional academies, and the regional academies will spread out over 3 different locations throughout the province. And the hours will increase, and there'll be more information coming out on that shortly, and that will then feed into the BC Academy as well. So 2 different structures next year, regional academies followed by a main academy run at UBC.
The academy didn't exist when you were playing rugby. What kind of advantage is it for these young players to have that kind of opportunity to train?
Well, I think it's a great program delivered by the best age grade coaches and conditioning personnel in the province. This academy is really here to enhance player development, both on and off the field. And I really encourage players, if you aspire to play for BC or for Canada, take full advantage of these programs and become lifelong rugby players.
So we've looked at a couple different ways now on how individuals can improve their game. We're going to focus next on a way that clubs can improve their programs and improve the way that they deliver rugby to their players. It's called the Club Spirit Award. It's had a major impact at Simon Fraser University, and we're going to talk to them about how the Club Spirit Award is changing the way they deliver their rugby program. We're here with Sean Fickling of SFU. They have 3 teams participating in the BC Rugby Union. They have a men's under-20 team, a men's third division team, and a women's premiership team. Sean, we want to talk about the Club Spirit Award and what that program has meant to your university in terms of delivering rugby on the field and organizing rugby off the field.
Yeah, I think in terms of performance, it's been interesting, but I think that the key part of the whole Spirit program is the link between, say, the executive and the general club members. We've definitely seen a bigger buy-in from our general club in terms of volunteering, participation in club events, and just the structures are now there for them to learn how to coach, learn how to referee, to be active members in the club community, which is something we've been looking to do for a while.
You found it's been pretty easy to implement, and you got a pretty quick buy-in from your coaches and players?
Yeah, definitely. And from speaking to even guys at other clubs, it seems like everyone's really working together towards like common goals and getting really getting nice and structured together.
So what's the next level of implementation for you? What is coming up?
Yeah, well, we've got a few projects that we work on at the moment. I think our first key project now is our U20 men's program, which has been working this fall semester. We've got a full U20 men's squad, and some of the guys are really pushing for places in the senior team, so that competition is a really strong element to it. We've got 5 or 6 coaches that are going out to middle and high schools all around the around the Lower Mainland area, and we're looking at actually expanding into the general community, not just high schools, but introducing an adult men's rugby program for non-university students in participation with the Rugby Club. So I think just our community engagement protocol, we're really getting there, and not just recruiting for rugby players and getting players experienced, but also guys that are interested in, and girls that are interested in coaching and refereeing, and just getting involved in BC rugby.
To learn more about the Club Spirit Award and how this program can benefit your club, visit bcrugby.com and click on the Club Spirit Award logo in the bottom right corner of the homepage. BC Rugby would like to take a moment to recognize the generous support of its sponsors: Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, and Langara Fishing Adventures. A couple more points to talk about. First, we want to say a big congratulations to the U20 Men's Championship winners. In Tier 1, we had the UBC Old Boy Ravens defeating UBC by a score of 13-12, and United defeated Vancouver Island University by a score of 20-19. Congratulations to both of those clubs on your championship wins. Secondly, we have 10 BC players that are overseas in Europe right now representing Canada at the U18 level. They had a pretty tough game against a Romanian squad of U19 players, but they got right back on the winning ways with a win by a score of 16-15 over a U18 squad from Romania. So well done to Canada and well done to our players from BC. Also, we're very excited to start coverage of the Adidas Women's Premier League with some live streaming on Saturdays. We'll have a schedule announced in the upcoming days and weeks, but we're very happy to be giving that league some live streaming on our Saturday mornings. Mike, thanks for joining us here on BC Rugby Club. It's been great catching up and great talking rugby with you.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you for having me.
We look forward to bringing you another show in the new year, but until then, enjoy a safe, festive holiday season and have a great night, everybody.
At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car, and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance,